Civil service? Nothing? Planning?
Planning Commission is meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, the usual place, the conference room. And on their agenda will be the Transportation Improvement Program, hopefully to review it and pass it along to council for a timely adoption, or making up for lost time adoption. We'll also be looking at the latest iteration of the capital facilities plan and discussing a number of other things. I have agendas that are available, just so you know. And also we'll be looking for an alternative to our December 24th meeting date due to the holiday.
Question? I have one. Is the medical marijuana moratorium, is that back in Planning Commission, or is that?
Plan B is back in Planning Commission. It's number 12 on the agenda, which is medical and recreational marijuana code issues.
Are you going to get all the way to number 12 tomorrow?
I sure hope so. I know we have until early February before the ordinance expires. I get phone calls on a regular basis from people who are interested in locating here. And from the recreational standpoint, what I do tell them is if it's illegal on a local, federal, or state level, then we will not issue a business license, and that's what I'm withholding right now.
On that subject, there's a pending request for an Attorney General's opinion on whether cities can have that requirement that the city will not issue a license unless they comply with all state and federal law.
Mm-hmm.
So I suspect whatever we decide will be less persuasive than an Attorney General's opinion.
I can't wait for those opinions, and I can't wait to see what happens with Kent. I haven't checked into that recently, but as far as I know, that's part of what we're waiting for, is to see what happens there.
And you're working on Plan B, if this, then...
Yes, the zoning. In fact, I've had a couple of brief discussions with people who've come in about what might be a likely area. Should we allow medical marijuana?
Councilor Hope?
I believe that the legislature is working on the possibility of combining medical marijuana under the recreational marijuana list, and then not charging tax on medical marijuana for those people with it. So any ordinance that we consider right now could crumble on us if the legislature does.
I hardly know how to answer that, and I think the council with the attorney or some other attorney that's working more closely with it, because I have a stack of about at least 6 inches high of information, and it keeps changing, and so I'm trying to move with it.
Other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
South County Area Transportation Board. Forget your report there. Pierce County Regional Council?
I haven't been to a meeting.
No report. Sound Cities Association, Councilmember Walker had one thing to report there. Is there anything else? Are you on that too?
No.
No report there. Valley Regional Fire Authority.
We passed the budget.
That's the budget. Any questions?
No. But the one that's not on here is the Human Services.
Oh.
And I we talked possibility of having a meeting on December 5th. I don't know if Trent would be available.
I'm traveling next week, the 4th and 5th. I'm available Monday and Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 3rd. 3rd?
Where'd she go?
She left. Okay, I think that was good for her, so let's shoot for the 3rd then. What would be a good time for you? Sooner that she doesn't have to stay too long?
Yeah, let me look at my calendar. We did Tuesday, right?
We can work on the rules of conduct.
5 o'clock's fine for me.
Okay, that'll work. That's the 3rd of December, 5 p.m.
December 3rd, 5 p.m. Human Services Committee.
Yeah.
Here or conference?
In the
hearing scheduled for tonight, on the second, 2014 proposed preliminary budget, the second hearing of that. So I will open the hearing, and if there's a desire, I'll ask Richard to give a quick intro of what the budget is, and quick, if there's a desire by anybody. Somebody raise their hand, anybody? If we need Richard to do a quick intro, if everybody's familiar enough with it, it's expensive. Unless you die, you do break. Okay, we'll skip it. Invite comments on the 2014 proposed budget.
Oh. Okay. Jean Venture, 37248 55th Avenue South. I have a poke in the back from the Park Board Chair who is busy. She's busy emailing you right now with the budget proposal, I believe. Mine is basically a comment of policy, because that's what the council does. It sets policy and the mayor brings you the budget. And I don't know exactly how everything floats up from department heads and employees to the mayor about what the proposed budget should be. But I do know that one department in town takes a lot of the general fund. I do know that there are specific transportation accounts, utility accounts that are paid for by the ratepayers or by gasoline taxes or by some other means. And that leaves a lot of services for the citizens coming out of the general fund, which is basically the property taxes and sales taxes, real estate taxes. I know there are chunks of money for future developments that were talked about at the last meeting of, can we take that building fund, what's that there for? Let's buy some carpeting for the city hall or do some new paint. Well, that's the money that I believe was set aside for upgrading the campus to use as matching funds for community development block grants. So the first thing is institutional memory with the change in council, the shifting of one mayor to another mayor is lacking, and we need better institutional memory and better research on the part of the mayor and the council as to what previous administrations had said and done and the commitments they had made. Next, I believe that the next part of your policy choice is what is important for the citizens. What do they get for their dollars? There's a lot of talk all through the year about increasing the police staffing, getting it back to the number of officers that are needed to provide the citizens with safety and protection and deterrent burglaries and break-ins. But does that mean that we have to have the best and newest cars like the city of Seattle, or does it mean we should make some choices about shifting over to sustainable vehicles like SUVs with hybrid technology that get better gas mileage? 3 to 4 miles a gallon difference adds up over the course of the life of a vehicle of 100,000 miles. Next is requirements for the police department and every department to basically come up with their best scenario, the things they want to do best, need to do best with their job. How can the senior services department best serve the community? Begging for money through a nonprofit to fund stone soup lunches does not cut it with me. I go to the food bank up in Federal Way. I see people there every week feeding families of 4, 5, and 6, and the handouts, the things that are coming from the grocery stores are not things that are being donated because the stores are serving the food banks. They're being donated because they get a reduction. They get to write it off at full price, and the awards they get from the EPA are for garbage reduction. They're not getting rewards from the Department of Human Services on a federal level for serving humanity. So I'd like to see better funding for crucial services, transportation, food, shelter, clothing, people. I know it's not a handout government that we live, a country that we live in, that we kind of want to pay our own way. But I'd like to see more direct funding of things like the senior center meals, the nutrition program for kids. Of course, you want to get as many grants as possible, but let's serve the needs of the community for more than worrying about whether or not your SUV is going to be stolen, or if somebody's going to break into this, get the big screen TV, because there are people out there that are hungry and they're living in very cold circumstances. And so that's some of the policy choices. Has she sent it yet?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't have to say too much more other than I'd like the council to set some directions on budgets, on percentages of the general fund, and then have those department heads come in, figure out how to spend that money with salaries first, vehicles maybe second, and frou-frou stuff third or fourth. So concentrating on community policing, serving the needs of the most vulnerable in our community, and taking care of infrastructure that's not funded through utility accounts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Kate Hall, 102 Alder Lane South. I'm here to talk about what we can do to improve the parks allocation of the budget. Surprise, surprise, surprise. So first of all, I met with our budget director on Friday to go over the latest and greatest budget. And the numbers have fluctuated, as you all know, greatly in the last 3 weeks. But the mayor has proposed a decrease in the salaries and wages of a little over $900 a year. And this is at a time that we need more maintenance of our parks, and the fact that we lost a $500,000 grant because we do not have enough staff support through our planner. What really concerns me is the fact that our benefits, even though the amount of time we're getting or the amount of money we're getting for salaries went down by $1,000, our share of the benefits went up by about $8,700. That's a lot of benefits. So I don't know if maybe we just didn't get the right allocation last year. I'm hoping that that's not the issue. Our supplies have gone down, but we were granted an additional, we took it out of supplies and put it into professional services. So overall, knowing that $8,700 of it is our supplies, and a great deal of it is our added cost of insurance. Almost $1,000, our share of the insurance, as we all know, went up. So there is a net increase in the budget of about $11,000. So I thank you for that. But again, I would like to talk about, we have 13 parks. 12 of which we maintain year-round, and 1 of which we maintain 6 months. Those 12 parks have issues that are either being looked after by other people in our community, or they're starting to look like a homeless encampment. So I'd just like to roll down our 13 parks. So the first one, as you know, is City Park, and it is only open from April to October. It has the play toy, it has the toilets, the basketball court, but the baseball field is unusable, as is the stage, unless you have a death wish. But we do pay utilities year-round. We also have an access to the river that we need to figure out. Due to your own shoreline management plans, we will have to figure out a way to allow the public to the river. Well, we don't, the county does, or else they can sue the county. Aspen Park, it's a nice little pocket park.
The amount of time you've got left, you're not going to be able to go through all 13 parks.
You want to bet? How much time do I got left?
You're at 2 minutes, and you're at 3 minutes and 15 seconds, all right?
Great. Aspen needs mowing, Beaver needs mowing and code enforcement because the neighbor has taken over. Blue.
3-minute limit does not apply to items on public hearing.
Yes! Thank you. Beaver Park, code enforcement and repair of a bad gate. Blueberry, we need mowing and weeding. Elsie Park, we need mowing and weeding, and we need to fence the water retention park. Or whatever you want to call it.
Water retention pond.
Water retention pond. Milwaukee, mowing, weeding, and we need to repair the play toys, which this isn't the one they burned. Is this the one they cut? Or they
Broke off.
broke off? We have children who like to break. Our Otter Park needs play chips and also mowing and weeding. Rhubarb needs mowing and weeding and rehab, because we have not rehabbed that park. We haven't maintained it. The neighbors have tried their best, have not been really successful. Strawberry Park, we've never improved it. It's a blackberry haven. Sunset Park, we need mowing and weeding. The trash is all over the ground because we forgot to go pick it up. That's the one where they did burn the slide, and we replaced it last year. It has been very well used by the neighbors, but we still need to pick up the trash. Centennial Park, as you heard, we would like to design some additional benefits, benches, swings, porta potties, barbecue grills. Centennial Park is also the one that has a wetlands issue in the back. So when the people from Rainier Vista come over to enjoy our senior center, they roll through or walk through water about 6 months out of the year. So we need to work on that too. The West Hill Passive Park, as I said, we need a survey to determine the property lines. It's also a code enforcement. We have 4 parks that the neighbors have either taken over, fenced, taken over, and will not let you on the property, or have just built permanent structures such as their garages. Alder Lane Park North is a mowing situation. That is also the park that we really cannot touch because the county may be taking it from us in order to raise 3rd Avenue, and Alder Lane South is the one where they have just taken over the park and we no longer have access. So, again, I would like to ask for an increase in our professional services from $2,500 to $17,500, an increase in our planner from 0.05 to 0.1%, and an increase in our public works department from a 0.5 FTE to a 0.75 FTE. This will allow us to do basic maintenance and pick up the trash, and maybe not lose the grants that we have. Do you have any questions for me now?
Perfect question.
Just one. Some of these items, I'm not sure actually belong in the parks budget. The code enforcement issues with, say for instance, if someone's abandoning their cones in the public right-of-way, should they be getting picked up by Public Works and stored with other abandoned property?
I do not know, but I will say the parks budget does pay 5% of the sewer and stormwater manager. I don't know if that really belongs in parks either, but we pay.
And Councilmember Garvin.
I have a question. You said that someone has actually built their garage on City Park.
Yes.
How could that possibly be done? Do they not have to get a permit to do that?
They have a permit.
How would we be issuing a permit to build on city-owned property?
Paula can answer that question. It was done like 15 years ago.
Okay. I believe you're referring to 5th Avenue Southwest.
Yes, I am.
A garage was built too close to the property line, and when 5th Avenue Southwest cul-de-sac was installed, the engineers actually made a curb cut so that the fellow could get to his garage through city-owned property. It's a 60-foot wide by 200-foot slab. More towards the rear, people have placed, I haven't gone back there myself. I think there's a cargo container somewhere in the woods there, and there's another structure that's been placed on city property by adjacent neighbors. because it hasn't been used. That the curb cut was, I believe, just the result of somebody not paying attention to who owned that piece of land. So, I'm not sure. Ken, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, the individual that has the garbage container on there will be receiving a notice that he has to move that off the city property. There is some talk about what we're gonna do with that property.
Where's that property at?
Fifth Southwest.
It's southwest.
It's the backside of the city.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
southeast, just past Milwaukee.
Yeah.
There's a cul-de-sac before you get to the railroad tracks.
It's how you get in, the back way to the park, so you can avoid the 8-foot fence.
Couple of quick question on that, curb cut. Is there other access available to that garage other than?
No.
No?
Another question is, have you say there are other parks where people have taken it over and they're using it to park their vehicle?
He uses it to park his, the one on Alder Lane South, he uses it to park vehicles. It is one of the best volleyball courts I've ever seen in the summer. Yeah, it's his side yard. It's not a park anymore.
Is there something that we can do to get people to remove their personally owned items, vehicles, who have you what, and remove them from the park? And if they don't, I guess, have
He
them
mows it.
towed? Well, it
That
doesn't matter.
I know, but he mows it. I have to get it
I
up.
can't take my car and put it in the middle of the park and expect it to be okay. People need to take their items and put them on their own property, period. Is that something we can enforce
Yes,
and start enforcing?
so I think with that time availability, we can, I think that's probably.
Can we get on that and get our parks cleared of people's junk? Okay, now there was also, someone had mentioned, like for a particular dog park, they were going to build a fence around the park and
Yes.
then an interior fence, because you have to have a double fence for
You do.
the park. Can we fence these parks, or is that?
You have to put it in the budget.
Well, yes, thank you.
Yes, we have fenced many a park.
You do have many of them fenced? You
Yes, we have tot lots that are fenced. We do have other parks that are fenced.
Does that help to keep people in their, misplaced items out? Like their
Yes,
cars?
because then they actually think it's a park. Where they have taken over our parkland, there is no way that anyone would know it was a park.
Well, are they aware it's parkland?
So I would say I've been on the park board 5 years. My first year, we did tell the tenant that it was park, and he told me to get off his property or he'd shoot me. So you see, I never went back there, because I'm scared. And we got the cops called on us when we went up to West Hill. So he just outright called the cops, because he said it was his property. That's why I'd like a surveyor to tell him it's not.
Any other questions? Councilman President?
Do we honestly need a surveyor to know that that's a public right of way when it's
No.
platted as a public right of way by
Platted as a
someone
public
back when
right of way.
the city was first platted?
Is it signed?
It has
Yeah.
it has been surveyed as well.
It has been, yeah.
Does it have signage
Replace the
saying
missing-
that it's a public,
No, it doesn't.
well, maybe he needs that.
Yeah, it sounds like the park might consider also requesting funding for signage.
Right, and you can get a police officer to assist you when you go up there to post the sign.
City park. Well, the city crew can do that.
Yeah, trust me, I would take a call. Are there any other
Other
questions
questions?
about my increase in budget?
Only one more on the third there. If he is aware that it's a city street and calls again, is that filing a false report?
You?
You go deal with it.
Say that again.
Well, if he's called the police before for people going up the street and have been informed that it's a public street, and he calls again about people on a public street claiming it's his private property, is that filing a false report?
Moving on, are there other questions? No, sorry, Jean, we had you.
No, I just wanted to give you
Other-
some information about that.
Okay, well, let's hold it for after.
Okay.
We gotta, are there other questions? Councilor Walker?
You said 13 parks, your inventory is 12.
And it's wrong.
Okay.
It will be updated before you see it again. They are missing a few.
I don't know if your list also didn't include your urban trailhead.
I know it doesn't.
Great, thank you. We'll get back to our public hearing on the 2014 budget. Are there other remarks? Chance to get you have a 20-minute show. Going once. Remarks on 2014 budget. Going twice.